When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
I was unskilled, and you trained me. I was forgotten, and you reached out to me.
I was fatherless, and you nurtured me.
I was broken, and you mended me.
As Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Support a child in His name through Compassion International at compassion.com/unto me.
The NFL is back, and FanDuel's got everything you need to play your game, from same-game parlays to live betting. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. 21 plus in present and select states. 18 plus in Kentucky and Wyoming. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Jim Jones, the leader of an American religious cult.
Jim Jones led over 900 of his followers into the mass suicide.
One of the biggest mass suicides in recorded history.
I always understood what happened. At some point, it did, on some level, become collective madness.
Welcome to another episode of Fringe
Beyond Limits. Oh, the collective sigh.
Yeah.
We should practice doing that together.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Synchronized sighing. New Olympic event.
New Olympic event.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, it's been a while since we've been back in the studio, aka this exercise room that nobody uses in my house.
The catch-all room.
Yeah, the catch-all room. Yeah, this is true. That's what it is. So.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. How have you guys been doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty tired.
Yeah.
It's just watching my godkids this weekend. And while kids are fun, they are exhausting.
They suck.
I did not get my nap in. That's always the worst. They don't nap.
I've said this many times that the only thing sweeter than child's laughter is that quiet.
The sound of silence.
Right before I take my afternoon nap. Like, that's the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
Last time I watched my niece and nephew, they're old enough that they don't take naps, so they were all doing stuff. So my husband went to go take a nap. When he was done, he came downstairs. I went upstairs, so took a nap.
He guys took naps in shifts.
Yes.
Nice.
Pretty much. And it worked because
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, I didn't get shifts. JT's just like, I'm going to go rake the leaves, and I'm going to cut the grass, and I'm going to go.
So he basically was avoiding.
So your godchildren, is it a boy and a girl?
Yeah, one of each.
So he couldn't take the boy to go rake leaves?
Well,
I would have.
He was outside, and the kid was just jumping in the leaves and making more of a mess.
Oh, they had to drive him crazy.
And then he kept running into the house like, look at all the leaves in my hair, and then dropping all the leaves on my floor.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Sounds like my dogs.
Yeah.
So, all right. What else? Pri, how have you been?
What have you been up to?
Been pretty busy with stuff at work and at home, and days been not some great, some days been all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last episode, Lynette said that she did a thing. She did a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I want to let you guys know that I have recently done something.
You did a thing?
Missy and I did a sex.
Woohoo!
And I did a cum.
Okay. We don't need the details.
Yeah,
you know, you're talking about my sister here. I don't need to know this.
Yeah, and she did a cum.
I don't need to know this.
So
Stop talking.
It's been very, very exciting.
Can we mute his mic?
Can we please? I don't want to picture this. This is my sister we're talking about.
Not only do I sit by the door, I also have control of the mics. So, no, you cannot mute. So
I thought you were going to say another thing like, we got chairs.
Well, we did get chairs, but
we got comfy chairs.
We did, but more importantly,
did you have sex in these chairs?
Each one of them. Yes.
Oh God!
I broke them in for us, so you guys don't have to.
Comfy.
Yeah, right. Missy bouncing up and down on me.
Stop. Okay, next topic. Things that are keeping me up at night. Yeah, conversation.
100%,
right here.
100%. So, yeah. So I'm kind of excited just to kind of share this. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I did a sex.
Yeah. So you're good for the next 3 years.
More like 13 years.
You know, I read an article that the average American male has sex two to three times a week. And the average Asian male has sex 4 to 5 times a year. And the most surprising fact that came out of that is I didn't know I was Asian. So,
are you sure? Is that actually many times a year, or is it many times a century?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to live that long, so I probably will never get to do a sex again. So, all right, yeah, let's jump right into our things that keep us up at night, and this conversation can't be one of them. So you guys have to think of something
I had
new.
A freebie for this week.
Yeah, right.
That's definitely going to keep me up at night tonight.
Yeah, good.
Thanks.
I'm happy. I hope the visual's there. You know, sometimes we get in positions where Missy has to use her crutches. So,
okay. What?
That just popped in my head, and I had to share.
Can I quit?
Yeah.
I'm quitting this podcast.
All right.
I'm going home.
I'm just gonna kick you off.
All right, that's fine. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next week, and that's the end of this.
It's been a great week.
Yeah, great episode, guys. So, yeah, who wants to start off?
I can go.
All right, go ahead.
Are atheists immune to acts of God?
Are atheists immune to acts of God?
Yes.
Why?
Maybe they just chalk it up to be a coincidence.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
what were you going to ask?
I was going to ask. I forgot now.
Oops.
Yeah. Oh well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was too busy thinking about my sex.
An act of God.
An act of God. So, what would you consider an act of God? Let's start there.
Well, isn't it like weather things, national weather, or whatever is like considered an act of God, or right?
Well, I mean, we all have
some people say that as an act of God.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our own definition. I'm just curious what your definition is. You know, it can be, you know, a catastrophe, or, you know, a weather event, or an earthquake, or, you know, what have you. It could also be the sun rising. It could also be the birth of a child. It could also be someone being cured of cancer. You know, I mean, so I'm just trying to see what your definition is.
See, when I first thought about this, is more when something happens, like a tornado and like your house collapse, that was an act of God. Like that's considered, when you look at insurance, that's what they consider it.
Okay.
But when now that you say that, it makes me even think more. Mm-hmm. Maybe anything that has to do with when people like, God helped this, God did that.
Yeah. So if you're going to use the definition of just catastrophe, then no, they're not immune to them, because I'm sure atheists have been in hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis, you know, so I'll say no. And even if you include sunrises, sunsets, the birth of a child, cancer being cured, if that's what your definition is, then no, I don't think they are immune to it. Now, whether or not God is real and has control over things, that's a different conversation altogether.
Well, now you just got me thinking.
Oh, shit.
Dun, dun, dun. So, like you said, in the insurance world, an act of God is a tragic event.
Right.
Why are we saying, I thought God was a good guy?
Yeah.
That is true.
Right. I agree.
Why don't we call him acts of the devil?
Right. I agree.
Is it just mirrored in the light system?
No, the sun just went behind a cloud.
Okay.
It did get substantially darker in here.
It did. But it's because
We're talking about God right now, and then the light system.
Yeah. If thunder and lightning starts to go, I'm leaving.
It's right when she's like, I thought God was a good guy, and then the light system.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. All right, everyone step away from Lynette slowly. So, all right. Lynette, did you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go. So I know in the past, I have some unrealistic fears. I know I mentioned before, like the mental hospital thing, of, like whatever. But another one that I always think about is like I'm always shedding. Like my hair is
okay.
I lose hair. Right? It's on my shoulders. It's on my clothes. Whatever. What if I'm in a hotel and I lost hair and then all of a sudden I get pinned to a murder or, I'm in an Uber and I don't know, I leave some skin cells on the chair.
Right.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. I hope that your alibi for when the murder happened would be somewhere out of state.
Well,
I mean, if that's the case, then,
But we rely so heavily on genetic or DNA material for pinning people to crimes.
Yeah, because what if the housekeeper didn't clean up that well, and
I've stayed in some questionable hotels where house cleaning did not.
Yeah. Is that like part of your occupation?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. I mean,
slumlord over there.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about being a worker in those.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, anytime.
I actually thought when you said like the whole shedding thing that there's so much hair shedding, especially when I shower. I don't know how I'm not bald.
Also that.
That's what I thought you were going to say, but then he said that. I'm like, that's true too.
That's usually the second question.
Yeah.
I always look, I'm like, how am I not bald with all the hair right now?
Yeah, but like I also don't know how I get certain hairs on me. Like there'll be like a long ass hair that's brown. And I'm like, okay, my wife's blonde.
You're like, I'm getting in trouble for this one.
Right. I'm like, I got to get rid of it now. Yeah, but I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, hair can just show up whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we should always wear a hairnet.
I was just going to say that we're all walking around with like stocking caps.
Yeah.
Wig cap things.
Yeah.
The caps that you use when swimming, the swim caps.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Go back to the 1700s and wearing the curly white colonial wigs.
The ones that are like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, we can bring back the wig party.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It was.
Oh,
it didn't. Yeah, back in the 1800s, it didn't last for very, very long. I think maybe
because they were stupid.
25 years. Yeah, probably. People got tired.
They were shaving all these moles and rats and making wigs.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I think it'd be sheep that they would shave. Don't you think?
Yeah, maybe horsehair.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anywho.
Yeah, so, right.
So if you find a hair, it wasn't me.
No, it was you.
The shaggy defense.
The
shaggy defense.
I love it. All right, so here's mine. And this is really, this is probably more like a kind of what would you do kind of thing too. So picture this. The city falls around you and is about to be overrun. You and your best friend stay behind to buy enough time for everyone you love to flee to safety. Facing the end together, you draw your swords. What is the last thing you say to your friend before your final stand?
I got distracted because there was a spider on the wall. And I got freaked out.
That's what she's going to say. She's fighting for her life.
All I heard was something about swords, and I just thought about some not so appropriate thoughts about swords.
Like what?
Two guys swording.
Sword fighting.
Sword fighting?
Yep.
All right. Do you want me to reread this?
Yes.
Okay. The city falls around you and is about to be overrun. You and your best friend stay behind to buy enough time for everyone you love to flee to safety. Facing the end together, you draw your swords. What is the last thing you say to your friend before your final stand?
Bye.
That's what you would say?
I honestly don't know what I would say.
Well,
the only thing I can think of is, it's good knowing you.
All right. And okay, that's all right. Lynette, what would you say? I have nothing for that.
I don't know. I get some funny things in my head
Right.
and I get some sentimental things in my head, but probably something along the lines of, we've been through some stupid shit together, and this is by far the stupidest, or something to that effect.
Okay. All right. I think I would go. Of course, I have to go funny because
you gotta.
That's just me. I would quote Die Hard and just go,
do that movie.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers, and then we would just charge.
No, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. So I would go Die Hard.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
fitting.
That's me. So what are we talking about this week? If our intro didn't give it away,
Mr. Jimmy Jones.
Is that your uncle?
Yeah.
No, maybe. Who knows?
Is it Brian's?
I mean, they are from Indiana, so I don't know.
Oh shit!
Isn't that crazy? Jones is from Indiana.
I have to make Brian look at his ancestry or something.
You should. I think so. I'm going to yell at Brian, blame him. So yeah. So we're going to dive into Jim Jones. So there's going to be a lot of bad things going on in the next 2 episodes. So I just wanted to, if this is not something you guys want to listen to, please skip. But November 18th is the anniversary of Jonestown. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do an episode in celebration. So November 18th.
Celebrating?
Yeah. So we're going to celebrate this.
All right.
So November 18th.
Or just bring it to life.
Yeah. November 18th, 1978 is when it happened. 2 weeks later, I was born.
You're a reincarnated
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I am the reincarnation of Jim Jones. You're welcome, ladies.
We need to think twice when we eat that sauce.
Yeah. No drinks for us.
Yep. So, all right, let's get started. Jim Jones was born into a world of hardship on May 13th, 1931, in the small rural town of Crete, Indiana. The Great Depression was in full swing, devastating the economy and leaving families across the United States struggling for survival. The Jones family was no exception. James Thurman Jones, Jim's father, was a World War I veteran who suffered from severe injuries and chronic health issues that rendered him unable to work consistently. That was from mustard gas that he was attacked with.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was known in the community as distant and unapproachable figure who spent most of his days languishing in the family's front porch, disengaged from the world.
Kind of sad he didn't have a nickname like Beetle-browed James Thurman Jones. Just saying.
Well, maybe. I mean, he probably.
This is kind of starting off a little, bloody benders.
Little bloody benders. So, Lynette Putnam.
Excuse me.
Yep, Lynette, not Lynette. It's not you. It's your, I don't know, spirit animal.
Spirit animal. Okay.
Yeah. So, Lynette Putnam, Jim's mother, was a stark contrast to her husband. Fiercely independent, unconventional, and outspoken.
Sounds about right.
Yep. She was known to challenge societal norms and held a mixture of spiritual and radical beliefs.
Also correct.
It's something to do with that name. Lynette often spoke of her son's special destiny, telling him and others that he was born for greatness. In the eyes of young Jim, she was both a guiding force and a source of peculiar influence, nurturing a sense of exceptionalism that would shape him throughout his life. The family's home was a dilapidated shack without plumbing or reliable heating, symbolic of their economic plight. The Joneses lived on the margins of society, surrounded by fields that reflected their isolation. This environment fed into Jim's early understanding of what it meant to be an outsider. The lack of basic comforts instilled in him a sensitivity to poverty and inequality, themes that would later permeate his teachings. First-hand accounts of early hardships. Neighbors who lived near the Jones family during this period recalled a household filled with tension and stark contrast. Jim's father was quiet and sickly, hardly ever speaking a word, while Lynette was loud and full of ideas, some of them downright strange, said an old acquaintance. The old acquaintance was Edna Branson. It was clear that Jim took after his mother. You could see the fire in his eyes even as a young boy. From an early age, Jim Jones exhibited traits that set him apart from other children. He was bright, inquisitive, and ambitious. But he also had a dark streak that unnerved those around him. Fascinated by religion and power, Jim would gather children from the neighborhood to stage elaborate mock church services in the woods. He would mimic the fire and brimstone preachers he'd heard on the radio, shouting sermons about salvation and damnation while the other children sat mesmerized or frightened. One local story that neighbors would tell long after the events of Jonestown involved Jim performing a funeral for a dead animal. Young Jim had found a bird that had fallen from a tree and died. He took it as an opportunity to showcase his command. He invited other children to attend, dressing in makeshift robes and solemnly leading the service. It was eerie, remembered childhood friend Norman Cleater. That's such a hillbilly name.
Sounds fake.
Cleater. He spoke with such authority, like he truly believed he was a preacher already, and we just sat there, too afraid or too captivated to leave.
Sounds like already a serial killer coming on.
Mm-hmm. Another unsettling aspect of Jim's early life was his fascination with death and control. He was known to experiment with these themes in his interactions with animals, sometimes performing acts that disturbed those who witnessed them. These behaviors hinted at a deep-seated desire for dominance that would later play a crucial role in his leadership style. So, seriously, I mean, he's...
Red flag?
He's 8.
Right.
And he's doing these things. I mean...
Well, as a parent, I'd be like, what's going on in your head?
Well, his mom had this delusional idea that he was meant for greatness. So she keeps feeding the ego.
Yeah.
You know, she keeps saying, you're meant for, you know what I mean? Think about that. Think about what that does to a child. He's already being poisoned, you know, and this goes to like my belief that like these serial killers, cult leaders, they're created by us, by society, by family that's just fucked up, you know? So it's just, they're not born.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
I was unskilled, and you trained me. I was forgotten, and you reached out to me.
I was fatherless, and you nurtured me.
I was broken, and you mended me.
As Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Support a child in His name through Compassion International at compassion.com/unto me.
The NFL is back, and FanDuel's got everything you need to play your game, from same-game parlays to live betting. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. 21 plus in present and select states. 18 plus in Kentucky and Wyoming. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This way, you know? So, at school, Jim was both a standout and an enigma. Teachers describe him as intelligent and well-read, often far more knowledgeable than his peers. He excelled in subjects that required debate and public speaking. Using these skills to make impassionate arguments left classmates bewildered. However, he was also seen as aloof and eccentric. He carried a Bible with him everywhere, quoting scripture at the most unexpected moments and chastising classmates for their perceived moral failings. Jim's relationship with his peers was complicated. While he could be friendly and engaging, he was also prone to sudden intense bouts of anger. If he felt slighted or disrespected, he would hold grudges and look for ways to exact subtle forms of revenge. This vengeful streak earned him a reputation that kept many classmates at a cautious distance. One former classmate, Richard Hawkins, later recalled an incident when Jim was reprimanded for preaching to other students during recess. The teacher pulled him aside and told him to stop, but Jim just stared her down, eyes wide, almost unblinking, and said, "You can't stop God's work." The room went quiet. Even the teacher didn't know what to say. Like, that's fucking creepy.
Yes. Especially like unblinking, staring her down.
Yeah, you just, I don't know, like murder him now. Like, I mean, the writing's on the wall. This is like, he's having recess. He has to be like 10 years old, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, Jim's obsession with religion was nurtured by Lynette, who believed that her son was spiritually gifted. Although the Jones family did not regularly attend church, Jim's fascination led him to explore various denominations and listen to traveling preachers. He was drawn to their passionate oratory and the way they commanded their congregations. He also studied religious texts and was particularly captivated by the Old Testament's themes of wrath and redemption. Alongside his religious interests, Jim explored political ideologies. As a teenager, he read books about Karl Marx and studied the rise of powerful leaders like Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. He was fascinated by how these figures wielded influence and orchestrated the loyalty of millions. While the religious aspect of his interest seemed genuine, it was interwoven with a keen understanding of the mechanics of power. This synthesis would later define his approach to leadership. In the rural isolation of Crete, the radio served as young Jim's window to the world. He listened intently to broadcasts that featured religious revivalists and political speeches, internalizing their persuasive techniques. This exposure gave him early lessons in rhetoric and performance, skills that would later captivate and control hundreds of followers. Lynette's influence on Jim cannot be understated. She often spoke about her rejection of conventional Christianity, favoring instead an eclectic mix of spiritual beliefs. Lynette claimed that she had visions and was connected to higher powers. These stories captivated young Jim and reinforced his belief that he was destined for greatness. Lynette would say, "You're not like others, Jim. You're chosen for something more, something the world isn't ready to understand."
You need to enunciate her little name a little bit more, because I feel like you keep saying Lynette.
Lynette. Yeah.
Lynette.
Lynette of our podcast is Jim Jones's mother.
Well, I guess if you were born 2 weeks later.
Right.
I'm starting to think
maybe we're both reincarnated.
Maybe, and that's what brought us together.
Shit. It's going to take over the world. Pinky and the Brain style.
Pinky and the Brain. Who am I? Am I Pinky? Probably. Yeah. Probably you're the brain.
And pretty the sure. brain.
Her unconventional beliefs combined with her encouragement created a sense of invincibility in Jim. This belief was coupled with an early exposure to the struggle of marginalized communities. Crete and the surrounding areas were marked by racial segregation and economic disparity. Jim's early experiences watching these injustices unfold fed into his vision of himself as a crusader for equality, though his true motivations would later become more complex and less altruistic. First-hand account of Lynette's influence. A family friend who visited the Joneses frequently said Lynette had this way of talking that made you believe she knew something no one else did. And she instilled that in Jim. He'd sit there eyes wide, soaking in every word like it was gospel. It was no wonder he grew up thinking he was chosen.
I feel like there's something mentally wrong with her.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Lynette, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, come on, Lynette.
Sorry, I mean...
What? Lynette.
Lynette. By the time Jim reached adolescence, Jesus Christ, he's not even an adolescent yet?
Wild. Nope.
By the time Jim reached adolescence, he had honed his skills in persuasion and performance. He was known to stand on street corners and deliver impromptu sermons to anyone who would listen. His voice would boom with a confidence that belied his youth, compelling passerby to stop and watch. even if they didn't agree with his message. This blend of charisma, intelligence, and fervor made him a figure to watch, even as it set him apart as some way to be wary of. Jim's need for control and validation grew stronger during these years. He started creating small groups of followers who would meet in secret locations to discuss spirituality and justice. These meetings were more than just gatherings. They were rehearsals for the larger stage he would one day command. He experimented with leading these groups, practicing the persuasive tactics he learned, and noting what elicited the strongest responses. During one of these secret meetings, Jim claimed to have had a vision that a local farm would catch fire. When by coincidence the barn of that farm did burn down a few weeks later, his reputation was sealed among those who had attended his gatherings. "We thought he could see the future," one participant recalled. "We believed he was more than just another preacher's son."
Jim did it.
Sounds like arson.
Yeah.
I'll say Jim did it.
I was going to say that too. Yeah. Like he I mean,
He's
honestly.
the Messiah, but it's just him with a box of matches
It's like,
and a
I feel in the
gas can.
in the future this is going to happen, and then like obviously 2 weeks later, he always took the time to.
No
I
shit.
mean, back then, as long as you weren't still there when somebody showed up, you were getting away with it.
Right.
You
Especially
know?
because it's a farm?
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course, farm is in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to see you lit on fire, run away.
No, and if you do it at night, everyone's sleeping.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you have so much time before they.
There's no street lights out
Right.
there. Yeah, it's country roads.
Yeah. As Jim moved into his late teens and early 20s, his sense of purpose was both a driving force and a point of internal conflict. He recognized that his belief in social justice and equality was sincere, but it was often overshadowed by his desire for control. This duality, compassionate activism coupled with a craving for absolute authority, would categorize his future endeavors and ultimately lead to catastrophic events that would define his legacy. Jim Jones laid the groundwork for the complex figure that he would become, a man driven by a vision of change, bolstered by an exceptional charisma, yet haunted by a dark need for power and validation. His entry into adulthood would mark the beginning of his journey from a passionate preacher to the infamous leader whose name would forever be synonymous with tragedy. Jim Jones' transition from an ambitious young man with an unusual sense of purpose to a religious leader was marked by determination and careful strategizing. In the early 1950s, after graduating from Richmond High School, Jim began his pursuit of a platform that would allow him to amplify his beliefs and showcase his growing sense of charisma and leadership. His first step into the formal ministry came when he worked as a student pastor at a local Methodist church. However, it didn't take long for Jones to feel constrained by the limitations of mainstream religion. The Methodist Church, with its traditional doctrines and reluctance to embrace radical social change, did not align with Jones's burgeoning vision of a church that melded spiritual fervor with social activism. He found the environment stifling and sought an outlet where he could exercise more control over both the message and its delivery.
So,
yeah.
If he didn't grow up with formal religion, how do you just graduate school and then join a church as a minister? Like, don't you have to, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking it from a Catholic perspective, but don't you have to go through some sort of baptism or conversion or whatever? I
mean, maybe some churches don't have that, right? I mean, I think if you show, he's a con man.
I know, but it's saying they're traditional doctrines and stuff like that of...
Right, but he was able to quote scripture as a child and would hold these sermons on street corners that would engage people. So I don't see that much of a far leap to convincing a church, not the entirety of the church, Methodist church, but just a single local church.
I know, but he could have walked into a Lutheran church or whatever.
Yeah, he could have walked into anyone. He just so happened to pick this one.
He knows enough of. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering how someone weasels their way in there, but
yeah, I think that was all by design. I think he probably even stalked and scoped out the church. I'm like, oh, this is an easy mark. And
yeah. Coincidentally, they need a spot filled, and here I am.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Here I am. I'm your Messiah.
Not yet.
Oh, sorry. I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah.
Too soon?
Yeah, too soon.
Too soon. Frustration with conventional churches. Jones's time in established religious settings taught him valuable lessons. He realized that the power of a preacher lay not only in the scripture he read, but in the way he delivered it. He saw that the most successful preachers were not just spiritual guides, but charismatic showmen who could sway their congregation with a mix of fear, hope, and spectacle. This observation planted the seed for the dramatic, performance-heavy style that he would become his hallmark. Around this time, Jones met Marceline Baldwin, a nurse known for her gentle nature and deep commitment to helping others. Marceline's belief in social justice and equality resonated with Jones, solidifying their bond. They married in 1949, and Marceline would go to be one of his staunchest supporters. However, as Jim's ambitions grew, the relationship became increasingly complex. Marceline, who initially saw herself as part of a noble mission, would later face the burden of supporting a man whose ideals were overshadowed by his darker compulsions. Those who knew Marceline at the time described her as a loving and deeply compassionate person. She believed in Jim wholeheartedly, recalled a former colleague. Marceline thought they were building something that could change the world. She was proud to be by his side, even when his ideas started to sound a little strange. In 1954, after leaving the conventional church system, Jones founded his own ministry, the Community Unity Church, which would later evolve into the People's Temple Full Gospel Church. From the very beginning, Jones positioned his church as a haven for those who felt marginalized by society. He attracted members from all walks of life, particularly focusing on African Americans and the working poor, who were drawn by his message of racial equality and social justice. This message was not just rhetoric. Jones made tangible efforts to integrate his congregation and support the disadvantaged, which distinguished him from other preachers of the time. Jones's emphasis on racial harmony was revolutionary in 1950s Indiana, where segregation and discrimination were still deeply entrenched. The People's Temple was one of the few places where people of all races could gather without fear. This drew significant attention, both positive and negative. Local authorities and more conservative religious leaders watched Jones with suspicion as his progressive views challenged the status quo. Jones employed innovative tactics to grow his congregation. He visited hospitals, jails, and community centers, offering his services as a preacher and social worker. He was known to pay for food and clothing out of his own pocket to assist struggling families, earning their trust and loyalty. These acts were genuine displays of compassion, but they also served another purpose, solidifying Jones's image as a benevolent leader and expanding his influence. In one early act of outreach, Jones adopted a black child, named him Jim Jones Jr., symbolizing his commitment to integration and racial equality. This bold move garnered attention and reinforced his image as a progressive leader, but it also set the stage for the deeper psychological manipulation that would later characterize his ministry.
So, up until this point, do you think this was truly a manipulative strategy, or do you think he honestly believed he was doing a good thing?
So, there's one thing I left out of this outline on accident when I was redoing it this morning. Jim Jones was an atheist.
What?
He didn't believe that a God existed.
That changes things.
Right, which was a real point of contention with him and his wife, since his wife was such a Christian believer.
Mm-hmm.
So, knowing that now, I think as a young man, he had a fight for equality and justice. I think he really did. But I think as people gave him power and followed him, that corrupted. And I think his upbringing just added fuel to this madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting twist, because I reading this, I was like, okay, well, maybe he's still a young guy. He's got a young guy ego, but I think maybe he's still trying to.
Yeah,
the good vigilante, out there.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to speculate, but I want to say that he wanted to make a change, and he wanted equality. He just got derailed by his need for power, his hunger.
Like a lot of people in the world.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, like you said that he's atheist, so he doesn't believe in God, but I'm wondering if he believes himself is God.
Yes.
That's where it all comes
exactly
from. He's been manipulated by his mom, thinking that he's this holy one, the only person that can be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's projecting it to everybody now.
Yes.
He's this the main person. He's the God.
Yes.
You should worship him, no one else.
God's not out there. God's right here.
Yeah, and I might have... I think it's in... Maybe it's not. We'll see. Because I didn't read this fully this morning. I just... After redoing it, I just skimmed it. So maybe I'll put it... I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, but he is definitely a con man.
Yeah. I
mean, 100% from the beginning, he was a con man. I just think maybe, how many times have I said that, I'm now using my powers for good instead of evil?
Yeah, true.
So,
all the time.
So I think he was trying to do that, but just like the human he was, just fell to the wayside and never came back.
Yeah.
So as Jones's congregation grew, he began incorporating more theatrical elements into his services. He knew that emotional engagement was key to maintaining the loyalty of his followers and attracting new members. One of his most effective tools was the performance of miracles. These staged acts where Joneses appeared to heal the sick or perform divine acts were carefully planned to create an aura of supernatural power around him. In one particular memorable service, Jones called on a woman who had been planted in the audience to come forward. She pretended to be blind, stumbling her way up to the altar. Jones laid his hands on her and loudly declared, "In the name of God, you shall see." The woman opened her eyes, feigned shock, and fell to her knees in gratitude as the congregation erupted in applause and tears. These performances were so convincing that even those who suspected they might be fake found themselves questioning their doubts in the face of the crowd's shared belief. Former temple members would later admit that they were involved in setting up these acts. "We knew it wasn't real, but it felt like it was part of something bigger," one ex-member confessed. "If these miracles brought more people into the fold and helped them find hope, we told ourselves it was justified." Jones understood that performing miracles reinforced his followers' perception of him as a man of extraordinary power. This perception fostered trust and loyalty, which he could then leverage for more control. He also cultivated an image of himself as an infallible leader who was just not a preacher but a prophet. This image would become critical in his transition from a respected religious leader to a man who demanded complete allegiance. So another story that I read about is before he started his own church and got somewhat known, he would work these other performances, and he had almost a photographic memory. So when he would walk around the crowd before the service began, he would hear conversations. People would be talking, they're like, "Oh, my back hurts," or, "I'm going through a rough time," whatever, right? And he would be able to recall the person's name and the issue. So when he was up there preaching and he's like, I'm getting a sign, God is talking to me. And he would blurt out and people were like, "Oh my God, how
did he know?
How did he know that?" Right. So it wasn't just, when he started his own church, he was doing this way before. He just had that can you imagine the kind of intelligence he had and problem-solving skills he had? If his path would have gone a different way, how amazing of a human being he could have been.
Right? Yeah.
That's just, yeah. So I think about them
well, I know we've talked about that before, serial killers, cult leaders, all of that. Mm-hmm. Are freaking geniuses. They are way brighter and they're always 10 steps ahead of everyone else.
Exactly.
That's kind of terrifying. Yeah.
Right. How did these people ever get caught?
And why aren't there any more of those people doing good things?
Right. Well, because it's, you're seduced by evil, quote unquote, yeah. Right? So, being nice doesn't feel good,
but being powerful is, or does.
Right. So, while Jones preached selflessness and communal living, his personal life was marked by contradictions. Marceline was a devoted wife, began to see the chasm between the ideals Jones spoke about and his private actions. Jones's early infidelity troubled her deeply, but she rationalized it as a sacrifice for the greater good, believing that his relationship with the congregation required an unconventional approach. Marcelin's acceptance of Jones's behavior played a role in normalizing his increasingly authoritarian and exploitative practices.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
When it comes to reducing carbon emissions, the heaviest industries face the toughest challenges. That's where we come in. ExxonMobil is investing in technology to help American industry lower its emissions, including in our own operations, all while empowering businesses and creating job opportunities. It turns out that fewer emissions can mean a stronger economy. ExxonMobil, let's deliver.
You open the fridge. There's nothing there. So what's it gonna be? Greasy pizza? Sad drive-through burgers? Dish by Blue Apron is for nights like that. These are the pre-made meals of your dreams. At least 20 grams of protein, no artificial flavors or colors, no chopping, no cleanup, no guilt. Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
For Jones, sex was another tool for control. He would initiate relationships with both male and female members, asserting that these interactions were spiritually liberating and a necessary part of their devotion to him and the temple's mission. He would often frame these encounters as acts of love and sacrifice, convincing members that participation is both a privilege and an obligation. This manipulation eroded personal boundaries, leaving followers more emotionally entangled and dependent on his approval.
If a church tells you you have to sleep with people, it's probably another red flag.
I would like to be part of that church.
Of course you would.
Tim Stowen, a trusted member of the inner circle, later recounted how Jones justified these relationships. Jim would tell us that our attachment to our own desires was a sign of weakness. But being with him, that was holy, Stone said. He positioned himself as the only person who could elevate us spiritually, which kept us coming back despite our doubts.
Gross.
Very.
Yeah, just understand.
Yeah. By the late 1950s, the People's Temple had gained a reputation not only for its message of inclusivity, but also for its community outreach programs. Jones spearheaded projects that included food distribution, housing assistance, and job training programs, positioning the temple as more than just a church. It was a movement aimed at societal transformation. His followers were proud to be part of something that was changing lives, even as they grew increasingly reliant on Jones's guidance. Community perception and challenge. While many in the broader community admired Jones's efforts, there were whispers of the growing ego and his manipulation practices. Some members who left the temple began to speak of a man who demanded absolute obedience, warning that Jones's vision was not purely benevolent. These early warnings were dismissed by most, chalked up to disgruntled former followers who couldn't handle the discipline Jones required. I mean, this is just a textbook on how you...
100%.
I think I'm going to become a cult leader.
It's just like the Netflix show, How to Become a Cult Leader.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Jim wrote the book.
Yeah.
As Jones's ambitions grew, so did his paranoia. He began to believe that outside forces, including other religious leaders and even local authorities, were trying to undermine him. This paranoia led him to tighten his control over the temple's operations and the personal lives of its members. Surveillance became a tool for maintaining loyalty. Members were encouraged to report each other for signs of disobedience or dissent. This practice sowed seeds of mistrust, binding the congregation more closely to Jones as the only person they could trust fully. To enforce loyalty, Jones employed public shaming and disciplinary practices that pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable. If a member was suspected of disloyalty or challenged Jones's teachings, they would be brought before the congregation and subjected to verbal rebuke or physical punishment. These punishments served as both a warning to others and a way to establish Jones' absolute authority. One former member recalled an incident where a woman was accused of gossiping about Jones. She was brought to the front of the congregation where Jones berated her for nearly an hour, accusing her of betraying the cause. The woman stood in tears as the crowd watched in silence. At the end, she fell to her knees and apologized profusely, reaffirming her loyalty to Jones. This scene repeated itself in various forms as Jones fine-tuned his methods of psychological control.
Just getting creepier and creepier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll just wait. It gets better. By the end of the 1950s, Jones had successfully laid the groundwork of what would become a sprawling and influential movement. He had built a dedicated following that viewed him as more than a pastor. He was seen as a revolutionary leader capable of transforming not just individual lives, but society as a whole. His ability to blend genuine acts of charity with strategic manipulation positioned him to expand his influence further. However, the seeds of his darker tendencies, paranoia, need for control, and willingness to use fear as a tool were already taking root. As the People's Temple moved into the 1960s, these traits would become more pronounced, setting the stage for the temple's dramatic rise and eventual descent into tragedy. The late 1950s and early 1960s marked a period of significant transformation for Jim Jones and the People's Temple. Jones, driven by a mixture of genuine belief in his mission and a deepening paranoia, began to preach about apocalyptic visions of nuclear destruction and the end of the world. He claimed that Indianapolis, where the temple was grown steadily, would be a target for such an attack. To protect his followers and continue his work free from the constraints and increasing scrutiny of local authorities, Jones decided to relocate. He chose California, a state he described as a sanctuary that was both politically liberal and diverse, perfect for fostering his vision of racial and social harmony. In 1965, Jones led a caravan of devoted followers from Indianapolis to Redwood Valley, a rural area in Northern California. The move was arduous, with many families leaving behind stable jobs, homes, and extended relatives to follow Jones. This commitment marked the first large-scale test of Jones's influence, and the loyalty shown by those who followed him affirmed his sense of power.
What is it, step 3? Separate your people from
Yeah, pretty much.
their loved ones, cut them off, or jeez.
Yeah. One temple member, Alice Wright, recalled the drive across the country as both hopeful and daunting. We believed we were heading to a place where we would be safe and finally able to live the way Jim said we were meant to. The children sang songs and everyone was full of faith, but deep down there was also fear. We were leaving everything behind for him. Redwood Valley provided Jones with the opportunity to expand the temple in relative obscurity while still being within reach of urban centers where he could attract more members. The temple's relocation was the beginning of a period marked by rapid growth and increasing complexity in Jones's control tactics. Jones focused on community service as a cornerstone of the People's Temple's identity, organizing food distribution programs, creating free medical clinics, and offering shelter to the homeless. This commitment to social justice earned the temple a positive reputation and brought in new followers who were inspired by the blend of activism and spirituality. By the late 1960s, Jones recognized that staying in Redwood Valley alone would not satisfy his ambitions. He began establishing temple branches in larger urban areas like San Francisco and Los Angeles, where the movement could reach more people and gain political clout. In these cities, the People's Temple grew into a formidable presence, becoming a hub for progressive activism. Jones courted local politicians and community leaders who saw the temple as a reliable ally in their own campaigns for social justice. Jones became adept at using his congregation to build alliances with influential figures. Temple members would turn out en masse for rallies, protests, and political events, making them an attractive asset to local politicians. This political leverage allowed Jones to gain endorsements that bolstered his credibility. Notable figures such as Harvey Milk spoke favorably of Jones and his work, unaware of the dark reality that was beginning to unfold behind the scenes. A former staffer for a California politician described the temple's involvement in political campaigns. When Jim offered his support, it came with hundreds, even thousands of dedicated workers. It was like having an army at your disposal, and that kind of influence was invaluable. While the People's Temple presented an image of unity and service to the public, life within the organization was tightly controlled and often harrowing. Members lived communally, sharing living spaces and resources. Jones preached that material possessions were an obstacle to true equality and demanded that members hand over their income and assets to the church. In return, the temple provided for their basic needs, reinforcing a sense of dependency on Jones and the organization. I mean, just tighter and tighter and tighter. You know,
like I wish there's something I could chime in, but I'm also like super fascinated. Same.
Yeah. No, I mean,
holy crap. Wow. You're watching this happen.
Yeah. I mean, going through all this, like my mind just melted. Like it's so easy, I think, to step by step convert people and brainwash them to follow you. You know, it's so easy. It fascinates me.
It just always amazed me with cult leaders how they do that.
It's just fucking nuts. So Jones maintained an iron grip on his congregation through a sophisticated system of surveillance. Trusted members formed an inner circle known as the Planning Commission, which was tasked with enforcing discipline and monitoring for signs of disloyalty. These members acted as Jones's eyes and ears, reporting any behavior that would be interpreted as rebellious or questioning. A cornerstone of maintaining loyalty was the ritual of public confessions. Members were required to confess their perceived sins and shortcomings in front of the entire congregation. These sessions often turned into spectacles of humiliation, where Jones would berate individuals to the point of emotional collapse. This practice served a dual purpose. It broke down the individual's sense of self and reinforced Jones's role as the only capable of offering redemption. The only one capable of offering redemption. A former temple member named Gloria Smith recounted one such session. I was called up because someone said I had spoken out of turn about Jim. He made me stand there while he told everyone that I was ungrateful, that I was poisoning the community. By the end, I was crying and begging for forgiveness, and everyone was chanting with him. It felt like I was drowning in shame, but afterward, I was thankful to him for showing me the way.
It's just using humility, like...
Yeah.
I don't...
Yeah. Fucking nuts.
I kind of want to see, like, a celebrity death match of a cult leader who uses stuff like shame to try and fight a sociopath who is not inhibited by shame.
You know, I thought of a good idea for a movie, and I'm going to say this because I hope somebody takes this idea and runs with it, is that I've always wanted to see a movie where the killer hitchhiker gets picked up by the hitchhiker killer.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
Okay. That broke my brain for a second.
You're right. But how interesting would that be? Where you have someone who kills hitchhikers pick up the hitchhiker who kills people.
Who pick them up.
That's interesting.
And the whole dialogue and interaction between those two individuals.
That'd be an interesting dance.
Right.
I would watch that.
Right.
What will we call this film? We'll have to noodle on that
the
one.
hitchhiker and the hitchhiker killer.
We could call it Doing a Hitchhike.
Doing it. Okay, we'll work on that one.
Okay. All right. Shelf that for now.
If you have any ideas for this film.
Yeah, please.
Watch like 3 years later, it's actually be a film. You're like,
I hope so.
Hey, I need money. I created this.
Well,
I thought of this.
There'll be a timestamp on it.
Yeah, there would be, but once it's in public domain, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I can't
copyright,
say it's mine.
patent.
Yeah, I can't. It's in public domain, which is why my other 2 ideas I have not said. So
for now.
Oh no. That's that. I'm keeping that close to the chest. So Jones's influence extended into the most private aspects of his followers' lives. He preached that romantic relationships and family bonds were distractions from their true purpose and could weaken their commitment to the temple. This belief allowed him to exert significant control over interpersonal relationships, often breaking up couples or assigning new partners as he saw fit. He claimed that only he would love members in a pure, selfless way, and he often initiated sexual relationships with both male and female followers, framing these encounters as spiritually uplifting and necessary for their salvation. One former member, Paul Garcia, shared his experience of how Jones would call members to private meetings late at night, speaking softly but authoritatively. He would say that to be close to him was to be close to God's love, that physical intimacy was a step toward true understanding. It felt confusing and shameful, but to question him was to question the entire foundation of our beliefs, so we complied, hoping it was part of something bigger. These interactions were more than personal indulgences. They were acts of control that deepened followers' dependence on Jones. By positioning himself as the only source of spiritual and emotional fulfillment, Jones solidified his role as both the central figure of adoration and the arbiter of his followers' lives.
So disgusting.
So let me tell you guys something, that the only way to salvation is by doing sex with me. So
looks like I'm going to hell.
Looks like I'll be damned.
So in order to save yourselves, I need to reach around.
I don't think it's worth it.
Smite me now.
Oh, I'll smite you. I'll smite you guys. Life in the People's Temple was demanding. Members were expected to work long hours on projects that ranged from community service to fundraising events. Many lived in temple-owned apartments that were closely monitored. Members were discouraged from maintaining relationships outside the temple, and any communication with family members who were not part of the church was scrutinized. Temple members worked tirelessly, often taking on double shifts at their jobs, and then volunteering for temple projects in the evenings. Sleep was a luxury, and the physical exhaustion served to keep members compliant and too weary to question their circumstances. Jones would often call surprise meetings in the middle of the night, known as alert sessions, where he would speak for hours about the evils of the outside world and the importance of unity.
I would get grumpy.
Oh, I would murder someone. I would be so in a bad mood. So I would just, yeah. You didn't have time to think for yourself, recalled the former member Susan Layton. You were constantly moving, working, attending meetings, and if Jim said he needed to speak, it didn't matter if you were exhausted. You went, or you risked being labeled as unfaithful.
What if you're in the potty when he called his meeting?
Yeah, you better pinch that off. Yeah, you better.
I can only imagine Frank being on his phone.
Oh yeah,
pooping,
I'd be yeah.
Someone's in the middle of labor and delivery. Sorry, meeting.
You know what I would do? I would shuffle out with my pants around my ankles.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Just penguin waddling over there.
What if they were mid-orgasm or something?
You know what?
Buzzkill.
You better.
Blue balls there.
You better do a come fast. Jones' speeches frequently included references to enemies and conspiracies. He claimed that powerful forces ranging from the U.S. government to rogue elements within the church itself were plotting against the temple. This narrative of persecution served to justify his increasingly authoritarian practices. Members were told that any attempt to leave the temple would end in betrayal or death, either at the hands of outside enemies or by their own failure to uphold the mission. On one occasion, Jones staged an elaborate hoax where he announced that a spy had infiltrated the temple. Members were forced to stay awake all night as Jones interrogated individuals and threatened severe consequences. It turned out to be a ruse, but the fear it generated reinforced the sense that only Jones could be trusted.
That is really, that's just, I don't know. I'm picturing what these people are putting up with going through.
Yeah.
That's just some serious psychological BS.
Yeah. And each step is to further and further break down the individual.
Yeah.
It's a step-by-step
process.
And
you're going to turn them against one another. And,
yeah. Yeah. During this period, Jones introduced Mr. Muggs, a chimpanzee he had acquired as a symbol of innocence and loyalty. What the fuck was that?
Mr. Muggs.
I have a nickname for the vagina.
Oh God, I don't want to know.
I call it a monkey. Do you want to know why?
No.
It's because it drives me bananas.
Oh God, that was a weird, dirty dad joke.
Can we move on?
All right. All right. Mr. Muggs often sat beside Jones during services, sometimes performing tricks or simply watching the congregation. To followers, Mr. Muggs represented the temple's quirky and communal spirit. To Jones, the chimp was a living symbol of his power to tame even wild animals. The presence of Mr. Muggs became emblematic of Jones's unique and controlling leadership. If he can make an animal love him, members thought, surely he's more than just a man.
That is some bullshit logic.
That's so fucking stupid.
Yes.
Temple member Janice Collins remembered the chimp's presence vividly. Jim would stroke Mr. Muggs's while delivering sermons about loyalty and trust. It was as if the chimp's presence validating everything Jim said. It was strange, but in the world we lived in, even that made sense.
I don't even know what he was stroking.
I have an idea. As the temple's reach expanded, so did Jones's sense of paranoia. Stories from defectors and journalists began to paint a different picture of the church, one that involved coercion, manipulation, and control. To encounter these narratives, Jones increased his rhetoric about the dangers of the outside world and the threats that loomed over them. Members who expressed doubts were subjected to increased scrutiny, and those who left faced campaigns of harassment and threats. Journalists who began to investigate the temple were met with fierce resistance. Jones used his political connections to suppress stories and intimidate reporters. However, the negative attention fed into his belief that the temple was under siege, further justifying the increasingly draconian measures he took to maintain order within the group. When one former member tried to leave and speak out, Jones orchestrated a smear campaign, labeling the person a traitor and accusing them of lying to discredit the temple. The inner circle helped enforce this, spreading rumors and contacting the member's family and employer to create doubt about their character. This tactic served as a warning to others about the consequences of defection. The more Jones focused on external threats, the stronger the group's insular mentality became. Followers began to see themselves as part of an enlightened community separate from a corrupt world that would never understand their sacrifices. This belief was cemented by Jones's nightly sermons, where he spoke to the temple's divine purpose and the destiny as saviors of humanity. And that's where we'll stop for this episode.
Hot damn.
So you think it has a happy ending?
Does any cult has a happy ending?
Mine does.
Not that kind of happy ending.
Oh, no?
No.
My bad. All right. But this is just crazy.
Yeah. And it's only gonna.
Yeah.
And that's just like the first half.
Yeah. And we're only halfway through. But my favorite part so far is Mr. Muggs.
Mr. Muggs.
Mr. Muggs.
Mr. Muggs sounds like the hero in the story.
Mr. Muggs.
Do you think he might divert everything from going awry?
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Do you think we should adopt him as our mascot?
Can we make a statue of Mr. Muggs?
Yeah, we could do a Mr. Muggs statue. Maybe do some clay pottery and sell it to listeners.
Is this you trying to create a cult?
Yes. Yes.
Step 1, find something everyone's interested in.
Mr. Muggs.
Mr. Muggs.
Step 2, give them my personal mushroom stamp.
Yeah, no.
In the clay.
In the clay. All right. So, all right. You guys.
Yeah, stick around for the next part.
Yeah. Next part should be better.
We get in more in the juicy details, the juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the juice.
Yeah. We're going to get into.
About the juice.
The gin and juice.
It's Flavor Aid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. Any closing thoughts for this one, ladies?
Don't join a cult. It's not going to end well.
What she said.
Just join my cult.
Okay, set me up.
All right.
Where are we moving?
Yeah.
Do I have to give you all my things?
Yes.
If we go somewhere, can you make sure at least it's a nice place? Paradise?
100%. Look at me. Do you think I wouldn't live in a nice place?
Can we go to Crete, Indiana?
You know what? Maybe.
Can you make sure there's a lot of dogs?
Yeah. Yeah. These are all requirements. We're going to go to Crete.
Yep.
And we're going to hold each other. And we're going to use dogs.
Are you going to stroke dogs?
I'm going to stroke. I'm going to get a pet monkey and stroke my monkey.
While the monkeys are stroking the dogs?
Hey, you know what? The more stroking, the better. All right.
Anywho.
All right. So, So thank you for listening to the first half of this fucking train wreck. My name is Frank.
My name is Brie.
And this is Lynette.
And you've been listening to Fringe
Beyond
Limits.
It's too much, these people.
I was unskilled, and you trained me. I was forgotten, and you reached out to me.
I was fatherless, and you nurtured me.
I was broken, and you mended me.
As Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Support a child in his name through Compassion International at compassion.com/unto me.
The NFL is back, and FanDuel's got everything you need to play your game, from same-game parlays to live betting. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. 21 plus in present and select states. 18 plus in Kentucky and Wyoming. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.